our team was impacted yesterday. So I hope they are all well and doing fine. And it actually turned out to be a beautiful day here in Nashville. So thanks for tuning in tonight. Obviously, guys, this is class 4, and I'm going to wrap things up this evening. And, you know, we've really got a lot of there's some specific things we want to cover with people, and we're going to stick to the agenda that Brooks and Chris and Jason Miller created. But there's also just several, I'll say, just thoughts, ideas that we want to make sure everybody understands as we kind of wrap things up. So I'm going to deliver a lot of this to you tonight, just in terms of just key concepts and thoughts that I think are important for you to know. I'm going to get out the whiteboard here in a few minutes and write some things down as well. Just to kind of help you understand a little bit more and more of what the compensation structure looks like. We've got a couple videos to show you as well, but I want to make sure everybody understands exactly what it looks like to reach silver, and then to continue forward, reach gold and 3-star gold as well. So, let me start by saying, one of the things that I wanted to start off this class by talking about a little bit is, this business is very simple. It's not always easy, okay, but it's very simple. And we all have a tendency to want to try to complicate it at times. And it's just not necessary to do that. Everything that we have mapped out through the first, 3 weeks of this class is literally all you need to do in order to grow your business. Everything that we've mapped out up until this point in time will get you to silver. And once you get to silver, quite honestly, this just is a very, you just continue to repeat the same process and develop new people underneath you, and that's how your business starts to grow. Let me move this a little bit closer. No, sorry, guys. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about too is, in talking about this being very simple, is just the fact that, guys, don't ever overcomplicate things to the point that you lose sight of what's really going to grow your business. And our good friend Philip Duncan does an amazing training on this. He's done a whole training on this topic, and I'm just going to hit it real briefly. But what you have to keep in mind is your fuel for driving your business, it's people, okay? And it's nothing more complicated than that. But what this really boils down to is how much do you want to share this? How many people are you going to touch base with? How many people are you going to talk to? How Advocare proud are you? And that's what's going to drive you, and that's what's going to continue to help your business flourish. The only variable in this whole process is us, okay? It's me, it's you. That is the only variable in this whole process that we've laid out for you, because we all have the same tools. We all have the same access to information, the same products, okay? We all have the same marketing, the same advertising. So the only variable in this entire process is how much each and every single one of us wants to accomplish. And, this past weekend, the ladies here in Nashville put on a tremendous training event, the Ladies Alive event. And I was there for part of it on Friday. They let me sneak in, okay, so I could see some of it. But the one thing that occurred to me is that every lady that was on stage, and whether that be our sponsor Brooks Reed, or whether it was Rebecca or Angela Pinnell or Laura Shoemaker, Lois Gregory, all of these women were very, very different, okay? But they all succeeded in Advocare, and they all succeeded in Advocare because they had a purpose. They had something that was driving them. They had something that they wanted to accomplish, and that was the only thing that was different about every single one of those ladies that was on stage compared to the people that were in the crowd that were listening and learning, was just that right now, at least up until this point in time, their will to succeed at this was stronger, okay? And maybe it was their belief was stronger up until this point in time for them to do that. And, I look back on our story, and you guys know our story, and you know how the first 11 months, I was literally the trailing spouse. I was around, I was kind of aware of what was going on. I was supportive of Rebecca driving the business, but I wasn't doing much of anything with this. And, but once I saw what this could be, and I've been exposed to some major events, okay, like Ladies Alive this weekend. I've been to 2 success schools. But once I saw that, I understood what this could become for us. And, there were literally days, after my second success school where I was driving to work and I would get emotional in the car, just sitting there by myself. But what I was envisioning myself and Rebecca on stage presenting and talking about our Advocare story. And my belief in Advocare had become that strong that I saw us talking about it and I saw us presenting it and I saw us sharing this story of success. And it was that powerful and emotional in me that it actually made me emotional. And, because part of that is I had helped with Rebecca's help had discovered, what our purpose in this really was. And it was to bring us together as a family because I realized I was missing so much of my life. I was missing so much of Rebecca's life and I was missing so much of Brandon's life. And that purpose was so strong and was so powerful. And I could envision and I believed that we were going to have enough success that it actually drove me to become emotional. Okay. And, and part of what that excitement for me, guys, was the fact that, I understood what we had our hands on. And again, that didn't happen overnight. Okay. I mean, you guys know that. And, I'm very honest about that. I was actually somewhat adamant that we not get involved with this at first. But over the course of that year, my understanding and comprehension and belief in Advocare had grown so strong that I saw these products working. I saw what they could do for people. I saw what they could do for entire communities and for families. And, and then I've since come to realize I've heard some statistics lately that have just blown me away. But by the year 2030, do you realize that over half of all Americans are anticipated to be technically obese? All right, the need and demand for our products is just going to continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And our company, my company, your company, what you guys are here to learn about right now, we are advertising on ESPN, we're advertising on ABC. We have one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL as our national spokesperson, guys. I mean, so much of this is just, it's ripe, okay? And it's ready. It's there for all of us to take advantage of this. One of the other things that occurred to me with kind of this concept of what I'm talking about right now, we've had some people that have come back to us recently and have said, well, we're hesitant to share. We don't want people to feel like we're taking advantage of them. And, that's something that we all have to shift away from. Because again, you look at what our products can do. We all know how effective these products are and what they can do for Americans in terms of their physical stature, and then also in terms of what they can do for people financially too. And this is, we're living, breathing proof of that right now. But we have a CrossFit gym owner, John Kennedy, that's on our team. And he made the comment to me, he said, one of his customers, one of his clients, that's also an Advocare distributor, made the comment to him that he felt like, or they felt like they were taking advantage of people, and they didn't want to take advantage of people by having them use these products or become distributors or become wholesale members. And, John made a great analogy. He said, Advocare is really no different than what I do here at the CrossFit facility. People come in here and they want a service, and they either want to lose weight or they want to get stronger or they want to get in better shape. They want to get physically, cut, but they come to him for a service and they pay him for that service. And it's very upfront, what they're doing. You got a customer coming into his business. They want this service. They're willing to agree to pay X dollars a month in order to go to his facility and for him to train them. It's not like he's tricking them into compensating him in some way, shape, or form. And honestly, Advocare is absolutely no different. You have customers coming to you that want to look better, feel better, or perform better. And you're going to coach them to do that, and they're going to pay you for that service. They're compensating you and Advocare for these products and you for your ability to coach them. Okay, so that's kind of the mindset that we have to have here, guys. You've heard us talk about it, that if you want this to pay you like a business, you got to treat it like a business. And that's exactly what it is. When these customers come to you, that's exactly what you're providing them. You are providing them a service, okay, and they are agreeing to compensate you for that. We're just very lucky that what we offer is a tremendous product and that the compensation program is amazingly fair to all of us that are the independent distributors of Advocare. So as I mentioned earlier, guys, it's a simple business, and don't overcomplicate it. And just keep that phrase in mind. Keep it simple. All right. Some of the stuff that we talked about, just sparking people, sharing products with them. One of our most recent distributors is from somebody that Rebecca sparked over 2 years ago. And, that wasn't something that, we had kind of forgotten about that person. But it all started with her just sparking them. So have spark handy, have water handy, get products in people. They will feel it, and maybe they don't get started today or tomorrow, but they eventually will. Strike up conversations with people. This one is just, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about how they're concerned about their market, and they kind of feel like their warm market's dried up. And that does not fly with me at all. In the last class, I talked about market saturation and kind of shared with you what that looked like and why, in fact, we've only got 1% of the population currently involved in Advocare right now. And that's kind of what I told this person. You're telling me that only 1% of the population is involved with Advocare, but there's 99% of America's population is available, but your market is completely dried up. And, and it occurred to me this afternoon while we were thinking about tonight's class, and just this concept of keeping it simple, just striking up conversations with people, and you never know where it's going to go. Our son, Brandon, spent the night at a friend. This couple lives here in our neighborhood. We don't know them all that well. We've gotten to know them a little bit better because our kids are now in each other's class. But when I went to go pick up Brandon on Saturday morning, I was just talking to the dad. And, we were talking about sports. We're talking about Tennessee football. We started talking about, things going on in the neighborhood, a variety of subjects, the kids. At some point in time, he starts talking about, or I think I'd asked him actually, what he did for a living. And he kind of starts walking me through the last couple of years. Well, come to find out, he was actually a partner of somebody that is currently doing the 24-day challenge on our team. And it's not somebody direct us, but I was put on a 3-way phone call with this guy's partner. Okay, so that was a great lead in for Advocare. We talked about what we do. I basically shared our story, talked about Advocare a little bit. And, before, and they kind of moved on to something else, but then come to find out too, they're getting ready to go on vacation over the first of the year. And they're going on like a beach vacation. So he even said, he came back to me and said, yeah, I want to hear more about that 24-day challenge. We may want to lose a few pounds before we go on vacation. So again, and if I just picked up Brandon, and if I hadn't asked that guy any questions, and again, there was no Advocare intent there. I was just simply picking up my son and was just kind of striking up a conversation and just having regular Saturday morning dad talk, in the neighborhood. And it led to Advocare, and there was a need. And again, that's where we got back to one of our earlier classes about the fact that just about everybody needs our product in one way, shape, or form, whether it be energy, whether it be weight loss, or whether it be the financial side of this. And come to find out, the guy is an entrepreneur too, so who knows, maybe it might go even further. But that's just a great example of striking up a conversation with somebody and seeing where it goes, okay? So keep that in mind. Use the DVD, use the Impact Magazine. We talked about those. Those are great tools. They're available for you on a daily basis. Take products, guys, and this one is, again, part of just keeping it simple. We all have to be users of the products. We have to be products of the products. And, even if you're not to your final result yet, if you're not where you want to be physically yet, but you're working your way there, you have to be a product of the product in order to share them. And we tell people this on our team all the time. We want you to be completely honest, transparent, and sincere when you're talking to somebody about the products. And you can't do that if you're not using them. If you're not using products on a regular basis, even if it's just MNS and Spark, you're going to have a hard time talking to somebody passionately about these products if you're not using them yourself. And, I've actually brought a couple of props with me here. But it's one thing that I wanted to talk about, when we talk about talking about the products. I grabbed a container of post-workout recovery and muscle gain. And I brought these in here just as an example because Honestly, as I'm talking about products with people, and this is kind of the point I wanted to make with you guys, is you have to talk about your experience and what these products do for you. And, honestly, do I know what's in each and every one of these, in muscle gain and post-workout recovery, what makes up these? No, I have absolutely no idea. But I know how they taste, I know how they work, and I know what they're used for. So I can talk about these products sincerely with somebody. And you know what? The other thing to keep in mind that I wanted to point out is on each and every single one of these containers, it talks about there are bullet points that give you specific ideas to what these products do. For instance, muscle gain increases muscle mass, and it's a high quality protein. Okay, it's a muscle builder. That's all you need to know. And then, so when somebody asks me to compare that to post-workout recovery, just by looking at the cover, just by looking at the label, it talks about optimizing muscle recovery, optimizes muscle repair, and minimizes muscle soreness. Okay, so this is immediately post-workout. It's going to help your recovery time. It's going to help you get over soreness quicker. And then the muscle gain and shake, this is a product that actually increases your muscle mass and is just a good protein powder to use. Hang on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that.
Call from Lawrence Gage Flotek.
Sorry about that, guys. Not expecting the phone call interruption. That's what we get, right, with live broadcasts. So, but anyway, that is just, I think, a great example of the fact that you got to be a product of the products. You have to be able to speak to them. When somebody's placing an advisor order with us, we tell them, sample everything. Sample as much as you can because you want to try the products so that you can talk about how they affected you, what you thought about them, how did they taste, did you feel a difference or not when you used them? And then just by simply looking at the products themselves, again, you can have a good idea of what these products actually do. And that's all you want to be able to cover with people, okay? People don't want to get into the granular specifics of what's in each and every product. 9 times out of 10, they just want to know, are the products safe? Are they healthy? And do they work? And how do they make you feel? And if you can communicate that to somebody, that's all you really need to be able to do. And Rebecca talked about the Bulletproof Shield a couple weeks ago. Just keep that in mind. If somebody starts asking you very, very detailed questions, which is very odd, but it does come up from time to time, it's very simple to say, I don't know about that. But what I do know is, and again, you can talk about how it's impacted you, talk about how it's impacted somebody else, and then, that's enough typically for somebody to feel like you've answered their question sufficiently, because there's no way for you to know every single ingredient in every single product. And guess what? You don't have to, okay? I don't, Rebecca doesn't, and we've done just fine. So keep that in mind. Wear the colors, okay? Wear the colors and use the system. And, this is something that is kind of funny, just because, we actually got just a story that I thought about in talking about wearing the colors. There's a local restaurant here not too far from us that people go to that they frequent for lunch, and they gear towards more healthier food. And apparently a lot of Advocare people had been coming in there and wearing their shirts, wearing their colors, etc. Well, the owner of this restaurant noticed all the Advocare shirts, never said anything to anybody, and nobody ever said anything to her. But while she's looking up Advocare, so she went to her computer, she researched it, she saw it, she decided she wanted to try it. She just asked Advocare, so we basically got her through the LEADS program. And she simply said that, she saw all these shirts. After she researched it, she was ready to get involved. She was ready to do the challenge. And, nobody came in for a couple of weeks wearing their shirt. And if the very next person had walked into that store wearing an Advocare shirt, she probably would have talked to them, and they would have gotten a new distributor right there on the spot. So all that to say, you want people to know you're involved with Advocare. We have somebody on our team that is a ballroom dance instructor, and she has been putting us to work feverishly over the last couple of weeks. And I've gone to the studio a couple of times to meet people, and I was in there just last week, and I was waiting for her and one of her students to meet with. And while I'm sitting there waiting, somebody else comes up to me and they say, "Hey, are you the Advocare guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And that's a good thing, okay? You want to be known as the Advocare guy, because what did that guy do? He started talking to me about Spark, okay? He started talking about how he used to use Spark and he wanted to start using it again. So again, it's good to let people know kind of who you are, what you do, and what you represent. So be brave with that. Be bold with that, okay? So, I talked about products, the Advocare guy. The other thing that I wanted to talk about here, and this is going to lead into a quick video for you guys, but again, it's the concept of packaging your story. And, we went through the most common mistakes by new distributors. I almost guarantee you, if you're having a hard time getting somebody on the phone, or if you're having a hard time plugging people into the success system, having a hard time catching people's interest, you're probably saying too much. And you're probably saying too much because your story has not been properly packaged, okay? So we walked through that, and we covered that in great detail. I kind of want to hit that again. And, just from our perspective, our general overall story. And depending upon who I'm talking to, I will adapt it. Okay, so keep that in mind too. That's a key point. Just because you have your story and you have it mapped out, it's going to change periodically, and it's going to change based on who you're talking to and where they're at in life and where their interests are. And, again, you guys probably know I probably tend to be overly analytical when it comes to things and sometimes overly prepared. When I first started to really get involved, I literally wrote out on a sheet of paper my story. Okay, I wanted to write out my 2-minute story. Now, I never took that sheet of paper and literally read it to somebody, but just the act of writing it out, reading it back to myself, and timing it helped me. It helped me tremendously just to feel prepared and to feel ready to share my story, because you want to be ready to share it on the spot. And I talked about picking up Brandon on Saturday morning. That was a great example. Advocare was the furthest thing from my mind when I walked into that house, but what did I end up doing? I ended up sharing our 2-minute story. And again, with the guy that I was talking to, he's in corporate America. He's very busy right now, so that's the part of the story that I shared with him. I mean, I literally told him that when, that Rebecca got really started in this before I did, but when I got involved, where was I? I was getting up, before the sun came up. I was leaving the house before the family was awake, and was spending all day at work. And, when I wasn't traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month, I was finding it harder and harder to get home by 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. And I very simply realized that I was missing my life. And, what did I see? I saw our income rising with Advocare. And I saw Jason Pinnell leading the kind of life, quite honestly, that I wanted to live. And I saw him earning the kind of income that was going to allow me to potentially walk away from my job. And then, and obviously with him, with this guy on Saturday, I was able to fast forward with that. And I was able to tell him that we had turned this into a little over $30,000 a month. And that caught his attention. Now, obviously, I wouldn't share that with somebody that wasn't in his situation, because that kind of money can be really daunting to people and sounds completely unattainable. Okay. So again, it depends who you're talking to as to what you're going to share with them. If it's somebody that's mainly interested in products, I might share Brooks Reed's story. I might kind of pull that into my 2-minute story with them. So if there's anything that you take away from these classes and anything that you start to practice tomorrow, I would encourage you to practice your story. It's just vitally, vitally important. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is just something I did, and again, I'm not saying it works for everybody, but after I got more comfortable with my story and kind of understood it more, I took those 4 sections, where you were, what you saw, what your results were, and where you were going. I took each of those 4 sections of the story and I put them on a sheet of paper. And under each one of those headings, I actually just started to bullet point, different concepts, different things that struck me as to where we were, both physically, both financially, where Rebecca was, other things that happened, what we saw. We saw Brooks's results. We saw results all around us. We felt results. And so anyway, I just started to bullet point all this stuff, and that kind of helped me categorize things. And then as I was getting ready to share my story with somebody, I might review those notes and think, well, this person's more on the product side. This person's more on the financial side. What's going to appeal to them? So keep that in mind. Okay, with that, I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk by this one time, so I want to give you a quick video break. And it's actually, I know when Brooks and Chris did this class, when they did their final class, they showed a lot of video examples of other diamond distributors. And I'm actually going to show you a double diamond. And I'm just going to show one tonight, but what I've noticed is I think it's a great story for one. It's Wayne Johnson from Seattle, Washington. Wayne was the individual that I saw on stage at my second success school where I literally finally said, if that guy can do it, I know I can do it. And so I wanted to share that with you. And as I was watching it again this afternoon, preparing for this class, I realized that quite honestly, it's a great example of a package story. So pay attention to like the first 30 seconds. I mean, quite honestly, Wayne's just setting it up. And the whole video is only about 2 minutes. And quite honestly, that's what he does, is he shares his 2-minute story. Okay, so hang on real quick. Let me flip over to the video. All right. I'm going to turn my sound down so we don't have any feedback. Hang on 1 minute. Let me pull it up. All right, here we go. Wayne Johnson's story.
10.5 years ago, I was a stressed out IT consultant trying to just make enough money so that my daughters would not be raised in daycare and just live in Seattle, which is a very expensive city, and really just feeling like 60 to 70 hours a week was still not enough to have a good lifestyle where I could take vacations where and when I wanted to take them and be able to save for college for my daughters, but also be able to have time with them. And so I heard about the AdvoCare opportunity and heard about my friends Bob and Jenny Donnelly that were making $25,000 a month. But really what they had was the lifestyle that I was like, that's what I want, and I just didn't have the vehicle to get it. And so when I saw AdvoCare, the products, the compensation plan, the company, the leadership that was involved in all those things, you know, I grabbed hold of it, I committed, I never wavered on what this opportunity can do. I really had quick success. Really the first 5 years it took me working AdvoCare part-time to get where I had debt freedom, I had time freedom, but now the last 5 years it's really been all about my team, helping other people reach that level, and as a result, you know, my income has tripled since then. It's grown to just over $100,000 a month this year. It's given me time to, you know, do things during the day when my daughters are out of school for the summer that, you know, just the average families and really average dads aren't able to do, because what I see in the Seattle area where there's, you know, $1 million houses on this lake all around is the people that own these houses, they are in very busy, stressed out jobs. Sure, they make a lot of money, but they do not have the time that I have. And so I'm so excited about AdvoCare. Not only can be this amazing financial vehicle, but it can be this time vehicle, because at the end of the day, we never get time back with these guys at this age. And so I'm passionate about fighting for families and other people to get these precious moments and be able to maximize it while they can.
All right. Again, I think just a great story in general and a great example of a wonderfully packaged story. And, you know, guys, there's a lot of those out there. They're all on your DVD that we talked about earlier. Let me back this up. So, you know, those are great examples to use with people. All right, 1 second here. There we go. Those are great examples to use with people, guys. And, you know, the other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to packaging your story is, hear me on this, don't worry about being perfect, okay? Being perfect is not what you're striving for. Feel prepared, feel confident, you know, speak proudly, boldly, and with all the confidence in the world, but don't worry about being perfect. You know, I've heard other people say this before, but honestly, I don't think you can say the wrong thing to the right person, okay? And I don't necessarily think you can say the right thing to the wrong person either. So there is definitely a right way to do this, and you want to follow the process, and you're going to improve your odds of success. but don't worry about being 100% perfect all the time, because that's gonna cause you to increase your fear level, which is gonna cause you not to act. What you really want to do is be passionate, okay? Don't worry about being perfect. Worry about being passionate and being excited. And when you share this with enthusiasm with somebody, and you talk about what these products can do and what the business opportunity can do, that's going to excite people, and that's what's going to cause them to want to get involved. Okay, a lot of times people don't get involved. People aren't going to get excited over a canister of muscle gain. Okay, what they're going to get excited about is what these products have done for you, what these products can do for them, and what this business opportunity can do for them. So that's kind of a good lead into my next topic. It's one thing that I wanted to make sure we covered tonight is, don't hide behind the products. And, I've heard other people talk about that, and I've heard people train on that. But if you hide behind the products and that's all you share, then quite honestly, that's probably all you're going to get. And if you want to make $300, $500 a month and just be happy and content with that, you can probably just be a continual product user. You can just continue to be a continual product share. But if you want to grow to a silver leader and you want to get to $1,000 a month and more, then you've got to share the business opportunity. And hear me when I say this too. I mean, we are very, very big proponents of meeting people where they're at and meeting people where they are comfortable. And there's a lot of people that are not interested in the business. And quite honestly, the majority of the people are not going to be interested in the business initially. But after time and after they become product believers, then there's a very strong likelihood that they will. Okay, but you have to plant those seeds and you have to share that with them. And I'll give you a great example that's kind of live and going on right now. Quite honestly, I don't know where it's going to go. I had a former colleague, a friend, who had left the company that we both worked for. She went on to become a vice president with General Electric. Okay, big deal. Okay, it's a big job. Had a great career. I actually learned that she had left that position just because we were friends on Facebook. We were still, in contact. Maybe like once every couple of years, we send each other Christmas cards. Okay, but I learned on Facebook that she had walked away from that job to come home for the summer. It just got to be too much. She wanted out of the rat race, and that's exactly what she told me when we talked. So we were talking. I basically shared. Okay, I shared our 2-minute story when we caught up. I told her what we were doing. I was trying to find out what she was doing and was connecting. But there was the initial apprehension there. I mean, and most people don't see this automatically and just jump right in. But I planted a seed, okay, and I gave her that layer. And I'll just full disclosure here, I did not plug her into the success system at the time because quite honestly, there really wasn't enough interest there to warrant doing that. But that was earlier this summer. Later in the summer, and just again, via just contact, we were chatting on Facebook. She told me that she was interviewing for another job and looking to go back to work. And I literally just said, before you do that, let's talk about this a little bit more. I want to make sure you understand exactly what this is. And so what did I do? I set her up on a 3-way phone call with Jim O'Hickey, okay? And Jim was an executive in that world as well, so he could relate very well to her. And what I simply told her was, I said, I want you to hear about this from somebody else. I really think you would benefit from hearing Jim's perspective. That's all I said. And she just said, okay. And again, I was very honest with her. She knows what we've done with this. I actually had sent her an Impact magazine, so that was another layer. So she saw our story. She knows what we've done with this. And from that perspective, I probably had a lot of credibility with her. But I wanted to make sure we modeled the success system. And I wanted to make sure that she understood how to do it if this was something that she wanted to pursue. So that's what I told her, is I want you to hear Jim's perspective. I really think you could benefit from that. She got on the 3-way phone call. We did it, okay? Nothing happened until just this past week. She got back in touch with me and said, okay, I think I'm ready to try this 24-day challenge thing. Again, I don't know if she's going to end up going on and do anything with the business, but right now she became a 25% distributor, okay? So that's a big win. She and her husband are both going to do the 24-day challenge. She's got weight to lose, just to be real honest with you. So, we're going to make her a product success story, and she's had multiple layers of the business now. But my whole point in this is the business was always a part of that discussion, okay? Now, again, she's got weight to lose, so I very easily just could have approached her from a weight loss perspective and shared weight loss stories with her, but I didn't. I exposed her to the business. I introduced her to somebody else who's doing very well in the business. So again, that's always been there. And again, right now, right this very minute, she's just a product user. But who knows? She could go on to do more. Okay, so that's something else to keep in mind too. Not only do you share the products, but you also share the business. All right. Now, with that, talking about the business, and I realize this is hard to see. We should probably, I'm going to figure out a system for the next camp where we can pull these documents right up on the computer screen. But for the time being, let me pull this just a little bit closer. Okay. And now what this is, and I'll start writing here in a minute, but I'm going to put this in front of the screen. You guys have all seen this by now, I'm sure. This is the income disclosure statement, that goes everywhere from silver to gold, 3-star gold, ruby, and emerald. I want to make sure you guys understand exactly what it takes to hit these first 3 layers. And now again, keep in mind that we've described this to you up until this point. And the system is exactly what you want to use in order to make this happen. So right now, you guys are you're brand new. You're like infants in this. So right now, you should be focused on sharing your story, on sparking people, and introducing people to the success system. Like I said earlier, keep it very simple, all right? Spark, share, introduce. If you spark, share, and introduce enough, your business will grow, all right? That's almost guaranteed. Spark, share, and introduce. That's all you really need to know. And this is where then, if you're part of Brooks and Chris's team, they're obviously going to help walk you through this as well. If you're part of our team, or maybe your sponsor, your mentor will. But what I want to make sure you understand is exactly what silver looks like. And I tend to get pretty sloppy as I'm drawing on these boards, so I'm going to try to keep this a little neater tonight. But you've got you up here, okay? And actually, you're right. I kind of like that. There's a glow on you right there. That means you're right in the center, okay? There's like a halo over you. That means you're destined for good things. So you've got you right here. And like I said, you are sparking, and you are sharing with people, and you are introducing people. And as you do that, you're going to start to get all these people that are interested in products in one way, shape, or form. Let's just say this individual here purchases products retail, okay? You guys are all advisors. You know what that means. That just means you made a 40% profit on everything that individual purchased, right? And we talked about why sometimes you're going to have that, but what you really want are wholesale customers. And you want to help those wholesale customers eventually become advisors and 40% distributors. So let's just say this person right here, I'm going to save it. This person becomes a distributor, okay? This person becomes a wholesale customer. Let's say they're at 20%. They're at 20%, they're doing the challenge. So what are you doing with that person now? You're coaching them, all right? You're following up with them on a regular basis. You're making sure that they become a believer in the products, all right? That's hugely important. Let's just say this person right here, this person sees the opportunity the exact same way that you did right off the bat. They become an advisor. And just so you know, when somebody does that, you just automatically, I'm going to write it on here because I don't want to get this all messy, you just automatically made $300, okay? When somebody becomes an advisor, you automatically made $300. That's not a bad little chunk of change, even for, a week of work. So that's what happens there. Let's say this person over here, this person becomes a distributor. Say they get involved at 25% because that's the husband and the wife, and it was easy for them to get to $500 with some spark, with some extra catalyst and maybe a little extra spark. So they got to the 25% discount level. And then this person up here is this is another 20% distributor. Okay, so you got all this going on right now. This is your organization. Now this person starts to do the same thing. You get them trained, okay? They go through, say, the Wednesday night steps for success. Maybe they go through the next edition of Silver Camp, this person right here. So now your organization's starting to grow. You've got an advisor. You want to get them trained. They start doing the exact same thing. Maybe they've got a distributor. Maybe they've got a retail customer. And then lo and behold, they find somebody that does the exact same thing. They become an advisor. All right. Now, like we talked about earlier, this would then put you into silver qualification because this order is $3,000. All right. Remember we talked about it's a $3,000 retail order divided by 2 equals 1,500 in business volume. And remember, all these calculations for the compensation purposes are taken off of business volume. And business volume is half of retail. So we talked about overrides. Remember, overrides are 7%. So you take 7% of 1,500, you're going to come up with $105. Now, when you go back to this chart right here, okay, when you're looking at silver, silver is $100 in override. So if you get this one person to become an advisor here, under an advisor, then all that automatically puts you into silver qualification. Okay, so let's just say that's happened. Let's just say, for instance, let's just change this a little bit. Say this person that went in at 25%, they worked their way to advisor. Remember we talked about that over 3 consecutive pay periods. So they eventually became an advisor, and they start doing the exact same thing. They've got a retail customer, distributor, they've got another distributor, and another retail customer. So they're doing the exact same thing. When you get $100 in override, and that puts you into silver, now you get that leadership bonus. That's 3%. Remember, silver is 3%. Now, you get that 3% off everything that happens under your advisors. And that's huge, okay? That's where the money is, guys. That's where this starts to build quickly because all of this right here, all of these distributors, and when they start introducing, these people introduce people to you, and this distributor comes up with a couple of people, this person comes up with one, let's just say this distributor here, say they end up doing a couple more. Let's say this distributor over here, they work their way up to 25% and then eventually to 40%, so they became an advisor. When that happens, now you've got 1, 2, 3 legs of advisors. And when you get this 3% bonus, you get 3% off everything that happens here, here, and here, out of all these distributors, all these advisors under your advisor legs. Okay, so any volume that comes under an advisor, you're going to get your leadership bonus off of. That's why it's important to continue to keep growing wide all the time, because as these numbers increase, say if you hit gold, it becomes 5%. Now you get 5% off all these legs that are also advisors. You get it off this and off this. Okay, so that's where it starts to increase so rapidly. Now, the one thing I did want to point out real quick is I said, this $100, okay, $100 is equivalent to silver. Now, to get from silver to gold, what does that look like? That means that you get $500 in override. So when you can take this from $100 to $500, then you get an extra 2% leadership, and now you're making 5% off everything. And now keep in mind, this is important. And now the example that I used here, you got an advisor under an advisor. It does not have to be one person, and that's important to remember. Let's say this never happened. Okay, this advisor here did not happen. Say this person became a distributor. But you were doing a lot of sparking, a lot of sharing, a lot of introducing. So you got 1, 2, let's say 3, 4, 5. So you got 5 frontline advisors. Remember, I said any volume under an advisor leg counts for override. So as long as you got this $3,000 of volume under all of these legs, and again, it could be 1,000 here, 1,000 here. Say this person shared with a couple of people and you got another 1,000 here. That's 3,000. That's silver. Okay, it doesn't have to come from one person. It can come from multiple sources, and that's important to remember. So that's that. $500 for gold. Now, the other thing to keep in mind that's kind of interesting conceptually is you can get to gold. You can get to $500 of override, which is a 5% leadership bonus, which averages what? Gold is almost, and actually I think this is 2011. In 2012, it was 40,000, or I'm sorry, $38,000. Okay, so you can get to gold basically just off of pure volume. Okay, it's almost like you're being rewarded for moving products and volume. Yes, you're getting people to advisor, but you don't have to make any of these advisors a business builder. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can get to gold without any business builders as long as there's enough volume flowing through all these advisor legs. However, once you start to get to 3-star gold, then you've got to have some individuals who are driving the business. And what do I mean by that? 3-star gold means you still have to hit $500 of override, okay? But you have to get at least 3 legs that become star legs. And what is a star leg? A star leg is one leg that has $100 of override, okay? So for instance, if this advisor here, if they sign up an advisor, okay, that's 3,000 retail, right? We talked about this earlier. It's $100 of override. If you sign up that person, now all of a sudden this leg is a star because you have $100 of override. If this person here gets an advisor, okay, that's $3,000, which is $100 of override. Now this has become a star leg. So in that case, now you've got 2-star legs. And let's say this person up here, they don't get one advisor, but they're just on fire, sparking and sharing with people, and they get, 8 different people to place orders, and all that adds up to $3,000. Third leg, okay? And as long as your total override adds up to $500, that's 3-star gold, okay? I hope that makes sense, guys. This stuff can get complicated. I know it can. And that's why I was saying, if you're under Brooks and Chris, that's why they're there, is to help walk you through this stuff and help explain this to you. And likewise with us. So as your business grows, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you kind of understand that, walk through it, and see what it does. Right now, literally all you really want to be focused on is sparking, is sharing with people and introducing, okay? And that's what's going to give you compensated. Be professional introducers. Now, just kind of, guys, I want to start to wrap things up a little bit. A few other concepts that I want to make sure everybody understands. And it's a lot of times I think people naturally tend to think that just because Brooks and Chris or Mary Alice and Philip Duncan, because they're doing so well and because we got to Diamond, that this comes easy for us, okay? That people don't tell us no, that we don't get rejected, okay? And sometimes we don't have to pick ourselves up by the bootstrap and continue. And the reality is that's just not the case, okay? And I was telling somebody the other day, it's kind of ironic. I was going back to my very first journal, okay? I remember the very first training class that I ever went to with Jason Pinnell. He was actually leading it. And as I was listening to him talk, I started to kind of write down my list, okay, the people that I thought would be awesome at this. And I think I came up with 5 names, and right off the bat. And out of those 5, I looked at 3 of them as people that I thought, oh my gosh, these 3 people are just absolutely going to kill this. One was named Kim, one was named Jane, and the other one was named Chris. And for a variety of reasons, I thought they all would be perfect. Now, Kim did go on to do something. She's actually the individual that helped drive us from silver to gold. It was an old high school friend of mine, stay-at-home mom of 4 that I knew was looking for an opportunity to earn some income. So that one did work out. But my point here is that 2 out of those 3 people that were on my very initial list, 2 of them have never done anything, okay? Chris and Jane have not done a thing. And I know all of you guys have Chris's and Jane's out there that you think would be awesome at this, and they haven't done anything and they don't see it and you can't figure out why. But guess what, guys? So do we, okay? I've got those people too. And so I want you to know that. Now, what's important about that is, and somebody called me today and brought this up. Somebody called me today because they were upset because somebody else had gone under somebody, and, somebody that they thought would be great that they had already talked to. And, that happens, okay? It happens. People are going to say no. People are going to do this that you think will just be great. Now, what's important here is how do you respond to that, okay? Because again, out of my first 3 people that I thought would hit home runs, 2 of them were strikeouts. And now if I had said, well, that's it, Chris and Jane aren't doing it, we're not going to be successful at this, I can't do this, we wouldn't be doing this right now. We wouldn't be living this life. But we don't worry about it. The people that don't see this, you can't worry about it. Just let them know that you're still here. And both Chris and Jane know what I do. Obviously, we've created awareness with them. They're aware of where we're at, what we do, and when the time is right for them, they will decide to get involved. And that's a big part of what we do is just create awareness with people, let them know what we're doing, and when the time is right for them, they will get involved. And with those 2 people I've shared, they're aware, and when the time's right for them, I'm sure they'll come back and they will get involved. So wanted to make sure you guys understood that. It's something that you got to think about, that we're all involved in this for the long term. And I think that's real important. And I've got to use this deck of cards. Okay, this is an Advocare deck of cards, and I want to use these as a quick example because I thought it was so great. It talks about this concept of speed and just how quickly do you want your business to grow. And I actually learned this. He didn't use a deck of cards. Okay, I get credit for using props, but I heard Diamond Todd Barble in Ohio. Share his concept behind speed and the need for speed because he kind of looked at it like it's a deck of cards. And as you turn these cards over, you can turn these cards over as quick as you want. And that's something that I think is important for everybody to remember because not everybody on this call wants to become a diamond in 11 months like Todd did. So I know not everybody has that need for speed like they did. And the reality is you get to choose that, okay? If this deck of cards represents your warm market, okay? Let's say you make your list tonight and there's 52 cards there. There's 52 people on your list, okay? It's statistically apparent that the people that you talk to are going to be similar to this deck of cards. And it just depends how quickly you want to turn these cards over to find out how involved your warm market wants to be. And so like as we turn this over, okay, the very first card, guys, it's a 2, all right? Nobody wants a 2, okay? 2s are people that have no interest in this. They're not ever going to be interested in it. It's just not right for them, okay? So move on with life. You're not going to change a 2. But then you share it with somebody else, okay? You spark somebody else immediately after that. And in this case, all right, it's a queen, all right? Queens are good cards, okay? We're working our way up the food chain here. This is probably somebody that became a 25% or maybe even a 30% distributor, okay? So this is now part of your team, so that's good. And then you just keep sharing. And again, this was Todd's point. It's how quickly do you want to move through this deck of cards. Real appropriate, okay? A joker. Who stuck the joker in there? All right, we've all got jokers in our lives. They're probably worse than the 2s, okay? This is the person that makes you feel bad about what you're doing. That person you definitely want to ignore. Okay, no attention to them. Move on with life. All right, turn over another card quickly. And what is it? It's a 2. All right. Now this is actually pretty good because this is somewhat, the cards I'm turning over are not good cards. Okay, these are not cards that you want to turn over if you're playing war with somebody. And this might be who you initially share with. And I think it's important to mention that, the first 4 cards I turned over, one of them was a good card. And one of them became a distributor, okay? So the 3 out of the first 4 didn't do anything. But that's my whole point, okay? Don't be saddened by that. It doesn't mean anything. Just keep moving on and turn over another card, okay? Here's an 8, all right? Here's somebody that bought products at a 20% discount, okay? I think that's great. There's another member of your team. You turn over another card, it's another 10. Here's somebody who also got products at a 20% discount. So now you're making progress. And if you go another week or 2 without sharing and without sparking and without turning over another card, guess what? your business doesn't grow. Okay? Not only are you not getting the jokers and the twos, but you're also not getting your eights and your tens and your queens. Okay? So keep working your way through the deck, and it just depends how quickly you want to move as to how quickly you work your way through the deck. Aha, here's what you want. Okay, look, I just turned over the ace. This is somebody that's immediately going to go to advisor. All right, these are great cards. So again, you guys get the point by now. No, I'm not going to kill you by going through this entire deck. But right there, we're 7 cards, 8 cards, I guess. So that's 8 people that I just touched base with. And now it's somewhat accurate that it's kind of like a batting average, you guys, okay? You might get 30%, you might get 40%, you might get less for a while. But over time, you're statistically going to get the people that want to do this business. And honestly, you're going to find those aces, okay? Somewhere in this deck of cards, all right, there's 52 other cards here. Somewhere in this deck of cards, there are 3 other aces. Those are the people that I want on my team. I want the kings, I want the queens, and I want the jacks, okay? Those people are going to be my business builders, and I specifically want those aces, and it just depends how quickly you want to find them as to how many cards you turn over, okay? Guys, it's that simple. And with that, guys, I'm going to start to wrap things up. I really, really, really hope you have enjoyed this series. We tried to just equip you with the basics. We want this for you, and I hope you want it for yourself. We can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. And it's really up to each and every single one of you to go out there and get it, all right? And there's absolutely nothing stopping you from doing that, because again, America needs our products. They want our products. It's growing like crazy. 2014 is going to be massive, okay? I hope every single one of you right now are sharing. I hope you're moving through that deck of cards as quickly as you can right now, because guess what? Every single person that you share with is somebody that's probably going to come back to you in 2014, because they're going to continue to see and hear Advocare's name. They're going to see what it's doing for more and more people, that's allowing more and more people to come home from their jobs and to live the kind of quality life that they want to live. And especially in January, February, and March, people are looking at New Year's resolutions, guys, and they all have to do with their physical appearance, whether that be weight loss or adding muscle, or it has to do with their finances, okay, eliminating some debt, some savings that they don't feel like they're not saving for retirement. Guys, it all boils down to what we do. They're the products and solutions that we offer. So January, February, and March are absolutely amazing months in Advocare, but you have to put in the work right now in order to benefit in January, okay? So do it. Put your sponsor to work. Put us to work. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all later. Take care.